8. Welcome to class 8. Welcome to class 4 of the data analysis with Power BI model. And the approach of this training is for us to use a practical hands-on approach, because Power BI as a whole has there are a lot of things to learn about Power BI reports, and for most persons that are just getting started with the basics. So I think a project-based approach would be the best approach to learn faster, so that you don't get overwhelmed with so many menus and features of Power BI. Okay, so today the approach of this program is to get us to walk through some projects. There are 2 videos on the LMS for you to try your hands on, to follow through and replicate. Then I also shared one with you during the last class. That's the sales dashboard. And then today I'll be sharing with you like how to approach a real life project. If you are to do a real life project, data Power BI project, how do you go about it from the place of your data gathering to the to the end of your the project, that is getting out the results, interpreting the results, and all of that. And so that's what you're going to be taking a cue from this for your capstone projects. You're going to let me share, before I get into the class or the explanations, let me just share the LMS with you all. So I'm trying to launch the LMS from my end. Okay, it's coming up. All right, it's up. So I'm going to share the window right away. Okay, so on the LMS, we have all of this. This is the installation procedure. By the way, regarding the Power BI installations, we all have Power BI installed. Have we all installed Power BI? If you don't have Power BI installed, can you just indicate on the chats if you don't have Power BI installed, because that is very key to whatever you'll be learning. Last class we said we're going to send out a form. The form has been uploaded on the LMS, and somebody has actually requested, signed up for the form, and which we've granted the person access to the Power BI to Office 365 accounts. So if you we all have Power BI installed. If you don't, you can indicate so that we'd know how to get about that, how to resolve that. All right, so I just thought to mention that. So on the LMS, we have this particular course, which this lady Lila is a very good Power BI pro. She does a lot of tutorials on Power BI, and there's this simple dashboard where she designed, and I want us to replicate that, which that was why we linked it up in this on this LMS, so that you can all replicate it. As well, we have this other video which we asked you all to replicate as well. So in class, there is the sales dashboard that we created, and that is under our you have the class recordings in the classroom. So I'm going to just go to navigate to the next recording so that you can see where it is. So here you have the class recordings. And here, this is the recording for the sales dashboard. This is the data set. So you're going to follow the video and also replicate the sales dashboard that we have in class. Sorry, we've not uploaded class 3 video. We'll do that today. All right. So, but then we will be going through one more example, and that is to take you through and that's what you take a cue from for the Capstone project. So because we have a very short time for this Power BI class, and it's a boot camp. This is it's just to get you started, to get you through all the basics, so that, and the truth is, the more you try your hands on different reports, because each report is, each data set or problem is unique. You have unique problems. What the kind of data sets you'll be working with when it comes to health will be different from the data set regarding finance. So you'll be talking about different calculations, different KPIs. And so you have to come across, you have to pick a niche and then focus on what are the kind of problems I want to solve. And then you have to start getting your hands on to such problems, because that's the best way to learn. Because no matter what you learn, going through everything, the tools and all of that, you have to put them into implementation. And that's the idea behind the bootcamp program. So this is going to get you started, to teach you through how to go through, carrying out your personal project, and then you start building up from there. Okay, so during the Capstone project, for this Capstone project, you will be working on a BI problem. All of this, stories are there. So you'll be building business intelligence is a great field to showcase your knowledge of the driving insight. We mentioned that during class 1, how data analysis is very, very key, as well as business intelligence. That is, you presenting your reports. You can have 1,000, 1 million rows of Excel record, and it's not saying anything meaningful. But then as a BI person or a data analyst, right, you can actually make sense of that report and turn it into a very, very beautiful dashboard, such that people will be wondering, oh, where did all this information come from? And that's the magic you create as a data analyst or data scientist. Okay, so this is a very important skill to have if you're going to data analysis. So somebody reached out, one of the boot campers or one of our community members reached out to me and was asking question. I'm going to forward the question to the group, and then my response as well. She was asking if it was it was necessary to learn Power BI or BI related tools if you are going to call data science or machine learning. So which I explained and I answered in that voice note. So I'm going to forward it to the Telegram group, community group, for us to also listen as well. Okay, so moving back to the projects, we'll be looking at the first thing to do. We are going to be developing a comprehensive Power BI dashboard to present a business case. So we are making it open. We're not giving you the particular data set to work on. We're not giving you the data set or the idea, the area. No, you just choose any area of interest. It could be as interesting as football data sets. It could be as interesting as anything that excites you. You can go in. So I'm going to show you a walkthrough on how to go about the airline satisfaction data set. So we use the same data set for the the Python for data science projects. But then the way we approached it was different. So I want to show you how you can replicate that same approach using Power BI without using Python. Okay, so it's that interesting for you to see that you have two tools you have two tools to your advantage if you know the tool, right? For people that went through the Python for data science program. So we're going to be using the same data sets, and we'll be deriving insights with that data using Power BI. So that's what we'll be doing for this project. So I'm going to upload the two the two. For the Python for data science, we have it there on YouTube. Then we'll be having this as well so that you can see the difference, how to replicate the two projects on Power BI. Okay, so now the first thing you're going to do is to get your data. And so there are different sources you can get your data set from. Like somebody asked during the last class, how can we actually get your data? Would the data sets be already prepared most times? So the answer is no. Most times you don't have your data set prepared, or you have to organically research and look for data. And it could be as natural as going to take a survey, do a survey. Because we don't have much time, I would have just done a sample. Maybe we would have just used a sample, create a survey ourselves, do a survey and gather data from people, like, send it through to all the, maybe you're doing something on air, send it to people, let them fill it, and then you build the dashboard with that, or do a data analysis with Power BI with that survey. All right. So, but then we don't have that much time, so we can't do that. So, but I'll just make do with existing data sets for these projects. So this is also the way you would go about yours as well. So let me just give you a brief on what the task is, the deliverables, then we'll go right into the walkthrough. Okay. All right, so the first thing is to get your data. So there are different data sources. We have different type of data sets based on your interests. You might be willing to go through government related data sets, which I went through that site for Python for data science users. Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to load on this page. I would have to go back. Okay, so we went through the sites in the Python for data science class. So you can search different data sets depending on your area of interest. It's an open data website where you can get government related data sets, geospatial data sets, and all of that. So for this particular project, I'm going to be using Kaggle. Like I said, I'm going to be using the same data set we used for the Python for Power BI, the Python for data science program. Okay, so let me go back to where I was. So we have the Kaggle, we have data set from Google, we have business related data set and finance from DataUp, you have machine learning data set from UCI, you have health related data from this link. You have movies and entertainment for people that are interested in movies and all of that entertainment. You have that transports and New York cycle and all of that, crime and drugs. So, but I would be using the Kaggle data set. So let me just go to that site and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so haven't navigated to the page, the data set page. So on Kaggle is a data science platform, ML platform, where you can do lots of competitions. They have so many open competitions. You can try your hands on different, it could be knowledge-based competition or the competition that has a prize attached to it. Okay, either way, you can always use your Kaggle, participate in competition. Something about competition is when you do lots of competition, it's going to help you also to develop your skill sets, because this kind of field that you are in or you were entering into, you need to actively work on projects. That's what would make you stand out. Because if you don't, your skill will be so rusty. And most especially if you're not in that field, maybe you're not working in a data related field, probably you're doing something else and you're not actively owning your skill sets with respect to competitions, projects. If you don't do this often, you get all what you're learning now would be, like as if you're just wasting your time, right? So, but then this platform is a place where you can do lots of competition. We asked everybody to open a Kaggle account for data science, people that want to go into data science. But data analysis is also good. It's also a good platform where you can do data analysis, but you can use enterprise DNA for your data analysis for Power BI related. Let me just navigate to that page. Sorry, I'm trying to get across my screen. Okay. So enterprise DNA is a platform where you can showcase your dashboards and all of that on their websites where recruiters go as well. So we'll be taking you through. There'll be one additional. We have an additional training which is open to everybody in the program on how to build your portfolio, all that you've been learning, how to put it together, and have you could have a GitHub repository for people that don't have a GitHub repository for all your projects where you can showcase your projects. So we'll be taking you through how to go about that during one of a mentorship session, or we'll just take one class to do that. Or you can also create maybe a single page website, something that would showcase all that you have, so that if you want to maybe you want to pitch, or you want to ask for, maybe you want to do an interview, or you want to you want to go into freelance, and you have a portfolio of projects to showcase to your clients or to your potential employers. So we'll also be showing you how to get around that as well. So this is where you have you can have different Power BI platform. Is this the site? I just want to be sure if this is the site. Is it Enterprise DNA? Okay, sorry, I'm going to get across the exact sites to you, but let me just stick to Kaggle for now, and so that I just follow through what I have to share for today. Okay, so if you need a data set, you can get it from Kaggle, and they have a data set menu where you can search for many data sets. So even companies, they pay to set up competitions on Kaggle, such that they try to give people with winning solutions. They pay them to actually get good solutions from them, so they can set up a competition and put a price tag on it, and people with the best results, or people on the leaderboards, maybe the first 3 or first 5 people on the leaderboard will get prizes attached to it, and then they get to share their results with those companies. So it's such thing happen on Kaggle. So for the sake of this, I'm going to search. I'm interested in an aviation related data set. So I'm going to say airline satisfaction data. I know the data set. That's what I'm trying to set for it. Satisfaction data. I think this is it. Either this or this. I'm not sure. Let me check. Okay. Yes, this is it. So this is the data set I finally settled for. I'm assuming to be one of the persons doing the project, right? I've been searching for data. I'm picking an area. I want to find out, I want to do like a data analysis project on airline passenger satisfaction. So you can get data set from Kaggle, like I mentioned. So that this is a data set that has to do with an airline where they gave they gave out that they put out the survey to their passengers, and they want to know the factors that affects the passenger satisfaction on their airline. So if they're able to achieve those, I mean, if they're able to get to know those factors, that would help to improve their service delivery. So as a data scientist, you might be saddled with the responsibility, or data analyst, you might be saddled with the responsibility to analyze this data, this survey that had been gathered from this airline. So how do you go about it? So this is a data set, and these are the fields or for the related data. We have, I mean, the columns for the related that we have: gender, customer type, whether are they loyal or disloyal customers, age, type of travel, class, flight distance, and so many. So this is a typical data set, real life data set that you can work with. So you have this. So this data set, you can use it for a lot of things. Apart from just data analysis, you can also use it for machine learning. Like I mentioned in previous classes, for machine learning, you're taking it a little bit step. You're doing predictive modeling now. You're not doing descriptive modeling anymore. Descriptive analysis. You're doing predictive analysis with machine learning. Now, you don't want to just know those factors that are influencing passenger satisfaction. You want to find out if you can predict whether your passengers will be satisfied on your on whatever particular flight or whatever particular route. Now that is taking a little bit step further with machine learning, and that's part of what we'll be doing during the machine learning class. So but at the data analysis stage, you are just trying to find out, you're doing descriptive modeling, like descriptive analysis, where you want to find out the key factors that are actually influencing the satisfaction of your passengers in that airline. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to download this data set, which I have done. So I'm not going to download it again. So you can just click on this and you download it. So I haven't downloaded it because I'm using Power BI. Now I'm not using Python now, so I'm using Power BI. So I'm going to just I'm just going to go through, I can go through Excel too. So I'm just going to load up, when I download this file, I think it's two files together, or one file. After downloaded, it goes into my local directory, and then I can open up Excel somewhere. And okay, let me just load up a new Excel spreadsheet. Okay. Okay, so this is an Excel spreadsheet. You can open up a new Excel spreadsheet. Go to where you downloaded the file. This is the file. Let me just open it up somewhere in my system. So this is the file. Nope. Okay, that's not the file. Let me navigate to where I saved the file. Okay, this is the file. So the file was downloaded in CSV, right? So if I open it directly into Excel, it's not going to be properly formatted. So I'm going to open it. I'm going to import it using this is directly into Excel. I don't want to open it directly into Excel. I want it to be, okay, this is, I don't think this is the file, but then if I open it directly into Excel, it's not going to give me a right format. It's still going to be reading CSV. So I'm going to, instead, I'll just go to data and then import from text on Excel. So let me just go back, cancel this. Okay, let me share this instead. So I'm going to go to data, from text, CSV. This is the data, imports. All right, so I'm going to on this is it's giving me the preview on Excel, so I can just load the data directly into my Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so you can see that it's loading and generating all of the rows, and I will have it loaded up in my Excel spreadsheet. It's a large data set, so I'm trying to get it. Yeah, so it's loaded. It's about almost 200 records. Let me check. So we have about 129,488. Okay, so we have this data set on our Excel spreadsheet. The next thing to do, I'm not doing Excel training now, so I'm just going to go through Power BI, but I just had to do this so that it will be easy for me to import it into my Power BI. Okay, so this is how the data set looks like. We have a column, this column one, I don't need this column, but then I will be doing that in Power, taking care of that in Power BI. Okay, on Power BI, we have the ID column, we have the gender, we have the customer type, the age, the type of travel, whether the person was on a business trip or a personal trip, the class, the flight distance, in-flight Wi-Fi service. Now, all of this in-flight Wi-Fi service, the departure, ease of booking, and all of that, they are all the surveys, survey question. Like they can ask how good was our in-flight Wi-Fi service, and then they ask you, let's go back to the cargo date description and see what it they represent. So let me just navigate there quickly. All right, so we have this. You see that here is saying that satisfaction level of the in-flight Wi-Fi service, where 0 is non-applicable, then you have 1 to 5, which could mean good, very good, and all of that. It's just like a scale of 1 to 5 for them to. So all of these were different questions that were asked during the survey. So you can relate to that when you are creating a survey question, right? And then you are asking a yes or no question. What do you have? What's the ease of online booking? Then the person writes not applicable and all of that. So you have all of that up until departure delay, and then you have the satisfaction level, whether the person was satisfied with that flight, neutral or dissatisfied. Okay, so going back to Excel, we can see here that we have all of this, all together listed. Then you have the departure delay, whether they were, how many minutes were they delayed, how many minutes were when they were departing, and when they arrived at their destination. So, and then you have the satisfaction score. So remember, your goal is you're building an airline satisfaction data dashboard showing how satisfied your customers were during the flights. Okay, so how do you go about the next thing? Now, I want to create additional table here, because all this 3, 2, 1 and all of that, they would represent something. So let me just put what they represent, right? I can call it another name. I could just say maybe poor average, the normal Likert scale, 1 to 5 Likert scale. You could use that to depict. You can use anything, but then since we're not given, they only told us that from score 0 is not applicable, and then if we have 1 to 5 rating, so which we're assuming that 5 is excellent and 1 is poor. So let's just try that. So I'm going to create a new table just so that, because we'll be using all of these scores on our dashboard, and I want to just have an additional table. So let me call that feedback feedback table. Like call it feedback table, or let me call it okay, satisfaction code or something. So where we can say let me use we have the code, and then we have the satisfaction level. So we have, let me just have my code as, I think I have something. Okay, I can. Let me just start the first one, non-applicable, according to what was given on the data description. We have not applicable. So I'm going to be stopping. Okay, I should have stopped around 30 minutes. So in the next few minutes, when we are done with this, I'll stop to take questions so that, because I really want you to get this. And even if we can finish with the old dashboard creation today, by Monday's last class, we'll be doing the wrap up so that I'm able to walk you through all that you need to know. All right. So let me just put some code, random codes, non-applicable, satisfaction level, not non-applicable, poor, average. Let me just use that for our our satisfaction level. So let's start with, let's do the code first. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and 5. I could have just done this. Okay, so we have, oh, why is this? I'm trying to copy something, but it's not pasting. Okay, all right, let me just close this. Okay, I'm going to type it then. Average. You could use good, very good, excellent. So you can also link it up to, students, for people that are interested in academics. You have something like this, maybe when you're trying to do the grading scale of is it the CGPA, the grade point average, and all of that. You have some codes like this as well. You could have a dashboard showing that that kind of data. Excellent. Okay, so we have this table. So we can always do your relationship, when you get into your Power BI, you can relate this table together, and then convert all the codes to their necessary satisfaction level. Okay, having this, I can turn this to a table as well, so that on Power BI I can easily get it seen on Power BI. Okay, so we have these two tables. We have the airline data and satisfaction code. Now I'm going to save it. Let me save it to, let me save it somewhere. Okay, so let me just save it here. Create another folder. I don't know if I have a project folder. Okay, let me put something else like let's, okay. Data. Okay, I'm saving as Excel, which is fine. Save. Now, I've gotten my data sets. This is what I'm going to be working with. So now let's get into Power BI and see what the process is like. So let me just navigate quickly to my PowerPoint slides. Oh, sorry. Let me navigate back to the LMS, because I was actually I was giving like an overview of what you're supposed to do before going into the project. So let me just navigate into the LMS to clarify that. Okay. So having gotten your data sets, you can use any of these tools, Power BI DAX, Power BI service. Of course, you have to do it with your Power BI desktop first, right? Then before you now start using your DAX formulas and before building your dashboard. Optional, well, you can also do that. I mentioned it as well that you can use Python for this project. But because we're in a Power BI class, so we're going to just use Power BI, right? But for your other project, you can also use Python for it as well. No, for other projects, sorry. All right. Okay, so let us just go through the deliverables. So you have to submit a Power BI file showing your dashboard. Sorry for the break. You submit your Power BI file showing your dashboard, and then there's a 3-page PowerPoint presentation for this project. So at the end of the week 8 of the project, at week 8 of the project, we'll be having a presentation. Everybody will be presenting, and that will be part of the qualifying criteria to your certificates, right? So for people that are going through the entire bootcamp program, like all the 3 bootcamp program, you have the leverage to just choose one project to do. Okay, so you can just pick one of the projects, to focus on for your presentation. You can work on all the projects, but you can just pick one to focus on for your presentation. So we have 3-page presentations like that, which will be submitted to you. Which will be submitted to email. All right, and then there will be a 3 minutes presentation on the demo day. The dates will be communicated to everyone. So this is what the template looks like. I'm going to open that up. I'm going to be opening that up, and so this template is going to be for all the project, but you just be choosing the one that is relevant to your projects. So we want to have you present first. You have just a brief information about you. Then you have the project title, whatever project you're working on, you have it there, where you downloaded your data source from. You can mention the total rows, column, file site, like for example, explore the total number of rows, 1,720 columns, and the five site. Then you can now mention your key factors, the key factors that are affecting sales or insight derived from your data set. So in the process of you building your dashboard, you would have identified some key factors. So the essence of you doing data analysis, right, is also to know what are those factors affecting satisfaction of airline customers. What are the key factors that we need to focus on as an airline, using our own case study now? What are the key factors we need to focus on? Is it the in-flight entertainment? Is it the food? Is it based on the survey? You'll be able to identify that. Okay, so those are the key factors you'll be presenting here. Then we'll have the third slide, just maybe a screenshot. You can have a screenshot, or you can show us your live Power BI dashboard. And then you just give us brief explanation of what your dashboard looks like on it. So we would be taking doing the presentation on, it's just three slides, 3 minutes. You'll be given 3 minutes on that day just to share. So we're just giving you like a feel of what a typical project would look like, beyond just, because it's beyond just doing the project. You have to know how to present your results. You have to know how to share the story behind the results, because that's what your clients want to hear. They don't want to even know the amount of work you've put into cleaning your data set and getting the dashboard ready. They just want to see, okay, what insight, what is the information, what are the key things we need to know, right? So that's part of why we're integrating this practical approach to the program, so that you have an opportunity to, share with other people, and everybody will be asking you questions. We'll be giving like depending on the number of people, we'll know how to allocate time for that. So that is how the project will look like on that day. So now let's just go straight into let's go back into our dashboard creation on Power BI. So at this point, I want to stop to ask questions. Do we have any questions from this point? Do you have questions? Drop them on the chat if you do. For the next 5 minutes, let's see answer some questions before we go right into the dashboard creation on Power BI. I'm waiting. Do we have questions? I can give one person an opportunity to talk. If you want to talk, you can indicate with the raise of your hand. Okay, I can see a question. Hey, does it have a relationship with Python, or it's a separate program? It's a separate program, right? Analysis with Power BI, which is a separate course as well. Then we would be having the machine learning introductions as well, which is a separate program. So, well, then I'll just explain. We use what you're doing in Python class, right? Is different from what you're doing in Power BI class. So all of those differences were stated during our mentorship program. Like we made you understand what's the difference between data analysis and data science. So for Power BI, you're focused on business intelligence. You're focused on analyzing your data sets to showcase, to derive insights, and to present it in a dashboard format. Sharing your like giving a pictorial representation of your data. So that's what you're doing on Power BI. So But I was mentioning Python because they have so many relationship. You can what you can do with Python, you can also do it with Power BI as well. But Python is a very good tool if you're going into machine learning, data science. It's a very, very good tool for you, as a data scientist. But for Power BI, it's actually great for people that want to go into data analysis, core data analysis. Okay, I hope that answered the question. All right. I think, okay, somebody else want to ask the question. I'll take the next question so that we can get right into the class again. Yes, you're going to get the data yourself. You're going to get the data yourself, and that's why we are having this class. So I'm showing you how to decide on how to go about your data gathering. There's some links on the LMS. We have it here. Let me share the screen again. We have the links here. So we have some links to data set sources where you can get your data sets from. So I was showing you how I got this data set I'm currently using. This is an airline passenger satisfaction survey that was carried out on one of the airline. We don't know the airline, but all those data sets are available online. You can get similar data set, or you can do something different depending on what you like or your area of interest. So we are not giving you any data, and we are not giving you any area as well, so as to give you an opportunity to explore. Okay, so I hope that answered the question. So once you follow this approach, right, that I'll be showing you today, that I'm showing you, right, it would help you navigate how to approach your data analysis projects. Okay, all right then. Okay, let's get right into the class again. So we stopped that. I haven't downloaded our data sets. We looked at it in Excel. But then the next thing is to get to Power BI. So I'm going to take you through the PowerPoint presentation again. Okay. So on slides, this is the step that's the approach that I'm going to use to design the dashboard. The first thing is to get the data set from KGO, which I did, or any other data source. Okay, now the next step is to import it to Power BI. Then I'm going to transform the data in the Power Query editor. I explained how you can do that in the last class. It's based on your kind of data. So the good thing about this project is that you're doing a different, like the last project we did was on sales dashboard, okay, which is quite different. This finance is different from surveys. This is like a survey kind of problem. So you're having a different problem to solve. So based on your problem, that will be the way you're going to approach your data transformation. Okay, so you're going to do a transformation. You transform your data in the data query editor, create columns and measure, create your visualization, format your desktop background, format your visuals, and then you publish your results to the Power BI service. Okay, so that is the outline for the project. I'm going to go about it. So the first step is to get the data. And how do you get the data? You could do a survey, you could scrape your data sets online, or you could get your data set from, if you're working with an organization, it could be from your data department, your database management departments. They can give you access to the database where you can pull out data sets from there. So typically the data sets are kind of the same. They're tabular data, right? Whether it's from a database or from a survey, all what you're doing is just to get them into a tabular form that you can use in Power BI. So the first step is to get your data, after which you're going to check through your data in Excel. So this is just a typical step for this particular use case. So I check through the data in Excel just to see what the data is like and the columns there and all of that. And then I created a new table for satisfaction level just to create a relationship, because there are some times that you might not be working with just one data. You might have to work with, one table. You might have to work with several tables together. All right. And I'll be touching a bit on data modeling here in today's class as well. Then after which you checked your data, sorry, I lost connection. Just joined back. Sorry about that. Okay, so let me share my screen quickly. Okay, so this is my Power BI desktop. I'm going to be creating a new report. And then like our previous classes, we're familiar with this environment, right? So the first step is to get your data. There are several ways you can get your data. You can get it from, see the data it's telling you connect. This is the get data menu. And then this data set won't work with, it's an Excel workbook. So let's just click on Excel. And that brings us into our local directory. I'm going to navigate to where I stored my data set. I think it's under this folder. And then I click on Airline Data, and then I open up the data sets in Power BI. So it's connecting. Can you see my screen now? Somebody said you can't see my screen. Can you all see the screen? Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen, just give me a thumbs up so that I'll know that you are actually seeing it. All right, great, thank you. Okay, so we are loading in the data sets into Power BI, and the next thing it's showing now is giving us a preview. So I'm going to share this preview. I don't know if you can see the navigator come up. So I'm going to share it now so that you can all see it. I mean, I don't know. Sharing the preview. This, can you see my screen? Can you all see the screen? Okay. So you can see that we have the two we have the data sets loaded on this navigator. Let me cancel it and do it again so that you can see it properly. Okay, I believe you can see my screen now. I believe you can see my screen. So the first thing I did was to get the data, clicked on Excel. It brought me to my local directory. I think I'll have to share my entire screen for the sake of this presentation so that I won't have to be having to navigate or having navigation issues. So let me just do that quickly. Okay. Okay, sorry everybody. I was trying to show my screen now. I believe you can see it. So let me just navigate to my Power BI application, desktop application. Okay, so we have this get data. Sorry for all the network issues, and I don't know what happened to my network today. Have like 3 network routers that have been changing. Anyways, okay, so we have the Power BI, the data sets, right, which is this. So I'm going to click open, and then I have it open, loading up. This is the navigator. It shows you a preview of the table. So we have the sheets. Now, this is the entire sheet, and these are the tables. Okay, so usually it's good to just work with the tables. Most times you don't load up the entire sheet because there might be other things on the entire sheet that you don't want to bring into Power BI. So just click on the table, the tabular records. You can see the first table and the second one we created, which is the satisfaction level. Okay, so I'm going to load that. So you can either load the data directly or transform your data. So here, because I want to go to my Power Query editor, so I'm going to transform the data. I will not load the data. But if you load the data, it goes into your Power BI desktop and for your designs. But then because I'm not going into my visualizations yet, I want to transform my data. So I'm going to click on transform data. and then it loads up the Power Query editor. You can see here that the data set is loading up. And then we have our Power Query editor on the screen. Great. So here you can see your two tables. You have this, which is the general table where you have all your records, which we had on our Excel spreadsheets that I showed you earlier, right? And then you have your table, and the other table that we created. So, like this, the more you use Power BI, the more you get comfortable with the use of how to navigate and all of that. So here, you're familiar with most of this. Okay, you're getting familiar with all of this menus. But what we want to do now is that we're going to split this table because I'm interested in this particular feedback from the in-flight service, departures, all of these questions. I'm interested in all of those numbers. I want to link up these two tables together. And before I do that, I have to I have to create this table. I have to duplicate the table to do that, right? But then let me look through each of my IDs. Look through each of my columns to see if all the data sets are actually needed. Like this one is a column 1 that is not needed. It's just the index, maybe in the process of creating the data set, it's added an extra column that I didn't need. So I can just right click on, or can just click on this column and say remove column. I don't want this column, remove this column. I can click remove column and then that column is gone. I don't need that column. I need my ID column. I need the gender. I need the customer type. I need the age. I need this type of travel. I need the class. I need the flight distance. So, but from where I have all these numbers, in-flight Wi-Fi service, departure, arrival, convenient time, all through to this place, to my cleanliness, I'm going to create a separate table for them. So how do you do that? You can do that using your choose columns. So the first thing is to duplicate. First of all, let me even rename my data set. I'm going to use this table and call it general. Then this second table, I can call it, this second table is satisfaction. Let me just call it satisfaction code or so. Or what they call the legend or something. Legend. Okay, so now I'm going to duplicate the general table because how do you duplicate? You right click and duplicate. So it's very, very, if you know exactly what you want to do, it's very easy to navigate. So we're on the Power Query editor, and what the Power Query editor does is helps you with your manipulation. To manipulate your data, you can put this is where you put your DAX queries or your functions, your formulas, and all of that. So this table has been separated into two. I have two tables. This first table, the general table, I'm going to remove the columns I don't need from the general table. So on the general table, I just want the gender of my client, the customer type, the age, type of travel, class, distance. I don't want all of these questions, feedback questions. So the ones I want, I'm going to choose the column I want. And how do you choose it? You're going to highlight, click on it, press down your control key and keep clicking. If you're on Mac, you press down your command key. You click on the tables you want. You click, I want the class, I want the flight distance. I don't want in-flight service and all the other ones with the numbers. So I'm going to go straight down. I'll go down, go down, go down, go down. Okay. The departure delay, I want the departure, the arrival, and then I want the satisfaction, whether the customer was actually satisfied or not. So I'm going to click on that. So I've removed my hand from the control key now. I'm going to right click on the header and say remove other columns. All the other columns I don't need, I'll remove them. Click on remove other columns. So when you do that, you see that all the other columns have been removed. Those ones I don't need. And then the ones I need are just here, right here. So you can see here that we have, oh, sorry, what happened here? So if you now, I noticed that even with the ID column had been removed. So I'm going to check what actually happened. You can either delete this step, or you can come to your choose column, because that's where you can actually choose your column and deactivate some columns. I can come to choose column here. The ones I need have been selected. So I'm just going to go back, and I need the ID. I don't know why they were not selected. I need all of those ones. So I'm going to go back to select the ones I need. I need this. The ones I don't need are the in-flight service, up onto all the questions and answers, right? The ones with the satisfaction level. So I'm just going to click OK. And when I click OK, you can see that the ones I need are back. Okay. So you have all the columns on the general table. Now, the second general table, I'm going to remove the other columns. So this one, I can just call this feedback. My feedback table, where you have actually your survey questions. You know, when you have your questionnaire, you have some, you can call it a particular section where you have the demography and all of those questions. Those are not part of the questions, right? The main question are your KPIs, that is the places where you're asking, do you like my food? Are you comfortable with the seats? You know, those are the questions that actually you want to focus on. So those are the questions I want to select now. So I'm going to remove, you can just even come here. This is even way easy. Just come to choose columns. So there are several ways to navigate on this, your Parkway editor. You know, all the columns are selected. So I'm going to remove the ones I don't need. I need my ID column. I don't need gender on my feedback table. I don't need the customer type. I don't need the age. I have it on the other table. I don't need the type of travel. I don't need the class. I don't need flight distance. I don't need the flight distance. So the in-flight Wi-Fi service are your survey questions. So I'm going to leave that up until departure delay. I'm going to remove it. Arrival delay, I'll remove it. Then my satisfaction as well, I'm going to remove it. So I'm going to click OK. So when you click OK, you see that all the ones with the numbers are the ones that are here. Great. We are getting somewhere. Now, the next thing is we want to on pivot. Now, these ones, this color, this white in-flight Wi-Fi and all of that, they are all on the columns, right, as individual columns. I want to perform a pivot on, want to pivot them. It's like this is like a pivot table. So these are the IDs matching this person. So this is just like saying this particular user is identified by this ID. The ID is the unique identification number of the user, right? So the same user was on that field, in-flight service, departure, the same person and all. But this time I want to turn all of these columns into rows so that we have just 3 tables. So all of this data transformation now, if you were doing Python, you could have just used your pivot table formula. There's a particular code you can just use that will do the same data transformation. But now in Power BI, this is how it's done. So you're going to select your ID column, right click and say on pivots other columns. So you're going to on pivot other columns, and this is what it does to you. You see that it has converted all your columns that were questions and then converted it into a single column, and then it gave the associated value. So you have all of those. So you see that same single user that filled in-flight service, this same single ID field departure, the same person. If you look at this from ID 1 to 14, the same ID 15 to 28, right? The same ID, 29, like that downward. So that's what the pivoting does. And the reason why we're doing this is that we want to, such that if in our visualization, we'll be able to visualize some of our results, in a, like this one, you could use you could use some sort of like your pie charts and some bar charts to visualize some of this information. So now the next thing we are going to do, let's just rename this first. Let's say this is our feedback questions or so. Then you can say this is your satisfaction. What did we call it? Code. Satisfaction code. I believe you can still hear me. Let me be sure. All right, okay. All right, so we have the satisfaction code. Now, the next thing we want to do, we have the satisfaction legends. The goal actually with this table is that we want to make this code, want to convert these codes into the associated their satisfaction level. We want to, what does this code depict? We want each of this code to have their satisfaction level beside it. And how do you do that? You can use your merge to merge the two tables together using your merge. And you remember we did merge columns in the last project as well. So you can go to your merge columns and merge the two tables together. I mean, merge queries rather. You click on the merge query. When you go to merge query, it's going to ask you which table do you want to merge together. We're going to go to our satisfaction legend. You can see that this satisfaction code, I want to merge it with this two table. So I'm going to click this code and this code. That's what I want to use to merge them together, because we want to show the relationship between what the code depicts, right? We want to have another column to show what each of the code is representing. Okay, so when you click OK, you can see that we have a new column. And when you click this, you can select the code, the satisfaction level is the same ID. I mean, the code is the same ID with the satisfaction code. So I'm going to deselect the code because it's the same thing. So we're going to click OK and just leave the satisfaction level. You can see that the satisfaction level now we have for 3, which is good. 3 is good, 3 is good, 4 is very good. You can see that with that, you're able to, bring another column and associating it with your table. Okay, so moving forward, we can further rename this to what? The satisfaction level. Let's just remove this. Okay, so you can see we have this. Now I think our table is looking good. So we have the general, right? The general questions, which are you a male or a female? What type of customer are you? Loyal or disloyal? The age, the travel, the class, the flight distance, the departure time, and then whether the customer was satisfied or not satisfied, right? So the next thing to do is let's go and into our Power BI desktop. You note that we are doing all of this in our Power Query editor. So let's go back to our Power BI desktop. So to go back, you just close and apply your changes. When you do that, it applies all the changes on your Power BI on your Power Query editor. You can see that it's applying all of them. While we wait, you can take a break depending on how fast your system is or how large your data set is. Let's see how fast we can have our data loaded into our Power BI desktop. Drink a cup of coffee and get ready for the next thing that you're going to do. So we'll be going into the models. We want to check if our tables are properly linked. So sometimes you might be working with many tables. Now, okay, that was fast. You might be working with many tables, like having to, most especially if you're working with a very large data sets or the problem use case. Maybe you have a school and then you have to work with data sets from different faculties, data sets of lecturers, students, depending on what you're doing, and then you have to relate each of those tables together. So like I said earlier, we have the report view, which we have on now. We have the table view, which gives us a snapshot of what a tabular record looks like. And then we have the model view. So the model shows us the relationship between our data sets. Okay, so I'm going to close this. So here, you can see now that we have a relationship between the feedback table, and then you have the legend, the satisfaction legend, right? And then you have the general table standing alone. So automatically Power BI has already detected some relationship based on the IDs that we have. You know, remember that code we had now, that the code of the small table was relating, I mean, we had a relationship with this. If you click on the code, let me see what it looks like. Okay, sorry, I eat it. Let me when you come here, you see it on the table view. This is the satisfaction legend, right? You can see this code and this one, the feedback table. This is a feedback table. You can see this code. They have related. So that is the primary key. On the main table, we have the code as the primary key, and this is the code as a foreign key on another table. All right. So we have this relationship, but then we have to there must be a relationship between the general table and the feedback table, because for every person on this in this general table, they gave a feedback, right? And one person can give more than one feedback, right? You can have one ID having more than one feedback, many feedback on that particular IDs. So here we're going to create a relationship between the general table and then the feedback table. Let me take you back to the table view so that you see what I'm talking about. So this is the general table. These are the identification numbers, or the unique identifier of each of the customers. We have this one. All of these are unique keys on this general table. But then this particular person can have, if you go to the feedback table, this particular 64641 and all of that, I can't really remember the number now, might have given several feedback. The person might have given several feedback, right? The person might have given feedback on in-flight service, feedback on different feedback questions. So the relationship between that table and this table is what? One to many. That is, one person on the general table can have many feedback questions. So that's the kind of relationship we are going to create now. I believe we understand that now. The relationship. So for you to have a relationship, number one, you must have an unique identifier on the two tables that are connecting those two tables together. And then you must determine what kind of relationship do you have between those two tables. So here we just detected that this general table, there's an ID on this general table and there's another ID on this general table. But then if you you want to create a relationship, automatically you can see that Power BI is already giving us the relationship. It's already saying one to many. It's telling you that one person on the general table is having many feedback on the feedback table. So I'm going to accept this relationship and click what? Okay, so that we can have that relationship created. Good. So we have our tables linked. So, but then I've merged this satisfaction legend, I don't need it anymore. I don't need the relationship because actually the table has been, I've merged, if I didn't merge them together, I might need the relationship on my report, but I don't need it anymore because I have merged those. Remember when we're doing our merge queries, we had merged the satisfy. If we go back to the feedback table, okay, this is the feedback table. You see that we have the code. Now, what we have on that previous on the satisfaction table, this is the satisfaction legend table. You see that this code and this level had already been, we've already merged them on the feedback table. So you have the code and the level already on the feedback. So I don't need that table again for anything for now. So I can just delete the relationship there. So I can just click on this and say I'm deleting this relationship. Yes, I'm deleting the relationship. I don't need it. I don't need the relationship. So I can just have this one standalone. Then we have this one connected. So I believe you are getting the different type. We could have, there are different type of relationship. You can have one to many, you can have many to many, you can have one to one. So in this case, we have one to many or many to one. This many to one or one to many. I think I'll prefer it because general is where you have the ID column, the main ID. On the general table, you have the unique IDs, right? On the feedback table, you have many IDs. They are not unique. This ID is not unique, right? Why is it not unique? It's not unique because you have many of those persons. Like on general table, you can have only one, two, 1, 3, one person having one as the ID, one person having another person two, and all of that. But on the feedback table, you can have many people having one. So this is that's why it's a one to many relationship. There are sometimes that you might have a relationship where you have a many to many relationship. It's in a case whereby you have I'm just trying to think about a typical case where you could have many people doing many things. Okay, now, for example, you could have somebody, right? Let me talk about food and ordering, many to many relationship. You can have somebody, more than one person order for a particular food. More than one, that person can order for rice. One person can order for rice, another person can order for beans and all of that, and order for different kind of food. Then you can have also that um on the food table there's another relationship linked, that what they do together is like many people also order for beans, and many the beans table, you have the beans being ordered by many people. So that's a many to many kind of relation. I don't know if you understand. Like one person can order for many beans, and then on the beans table, the beans can be ordered for by many people on the people's table. So in that case, you have the relationship between those two tables is many to many. So there are sometimes you might have just a one-to-one relationship. So you have to understand what your the relationship between your table looks like. And it's very it's intuitive. Like you just understand, okay, what are the what is the question like, and usually you are used your ID to know your kind of relationship. And sometimes Power BI can give you the the relationship automatically. I think I have a question. Okay, no. All right, so let us proceed to the dashboard. Obviously I know that we'll not be able to complete the dashboard today, but let's just see how far we can go with the dashboard creation. Okay, now we are okay with the relationship. The next thing to do is to go to our report view and let us get started with our dashboard. So let me check if we can go through our so we have the data on the Power BI transform data in the Power Query editor, which we've done. We've created the new tables. We've merged the satisfaction score table with the question table. And then we have 3 tables available. We've applied our changes. And then now it's time to create a visualization. So let's just do that quickly. Okay, so we're going to go ahead to create our visualization. And the first thing to do, in this case, there are different ways to go about your designs. You can either do your visuals first and then later focus on design, or you can have your design done on PowerPoint and then you copy that design, that exact design, you bring it, you change your desktop, your Canva background. You can change your Canva background to that particular design from that you designed on PowerPoint. And or you, as you're designing, you're also building your graphs together. So I'm going to adopt this to the third way of doing it. I'm going to be designing and then I'll be putting my data because of time. Usually it's good to just I just do my all my visuals first, then later I'll focus on designing. I'll do a screenshot of my visual, then take it to PowerPoint, paste it on the PowerPoint page, and then do my templating on it. But because I don't have that luxury of time, so I'm going to just be doing it together so that we can just follow along. But the design is up to you, what you like, the concept you want to bring, and the type of graph you want to show. Okay, so I'm going to look for a background. I can use there are different sites. You could search for backgrounds, free backgrounds. So I have one background already downloaded. So let me just use that one. So I went to one of the sites and I downloaded one. So I'll just load it in. We have this background. I'm going to change the transparency. Let me put it at 50 so that we can see what the background looks like. Okay, it's a background with an airplane. So let me just make it, let me fit the page so that I don't have the airplane all over. Then I can also go back to my visualization and add some color. I can change the color of the wallpaper on my background. So this, there are some reports you see that usually I just like plain reports, depending on your type of client anyway, and depending on where you want to showcase your reports, it's up to your designs are up to you. Okay, so but if you go to the Power BI service, you see some awesome designs. It's just good to do professional reports. So I'll just, you create a basic report so we can always work around your designs when you're designing. But the most important thing is you knowing what to present, the type of report, type of data, insights that you want to present to your audience. So let me just set a wallpaper. Color, I could just do purple. Oops, that one is too much. The purple is too much. I can just reduce the transparent. It's too much. Let me use another color. Let me use this, even at that. Let's set the transparency to 20%. Okay. All right. Let's say I can still change this background. Okay, but let me just start with this. Let's start with this. Or I can pick, depending on your audience, you can pick any color your clients, that speaks to your clients. But let me just use purple for this. All right. Okay, so next, let me create a shape. Let me just insert a shape for my header. That's all the logos and the rest. I'll just insert a rounded triangle, have it something like this. Reset this. I can add the styles, the shapes, the rounded corner. I can make it 10%. I don't want it too rounded. Okay, I can increase my, let me Sorry, I believe we're looking. Okay, at this point, let me stop to take questions. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? Are we still following? Do you have questions? No questions for now. I'll assume our silence is no questions. So let me just continue because of our time. Do we have I mean, are we following? Do we understand this all that I've been explaining? Okay, since have not heard anything from anybody, so let me just continue. Okay, so let's just go ahead to do the shapes and before I start putting some of the graphs. Okay, so let me go ahead. I can put at the type, the shape heights, widths, and then let me change the style. So designing could take a while, most especially if you're not really into designs, right? So you just stick to the basics. If you're not into the designs, you can just stick to the basics. So let me change the width. I want to change the width to what's width now. 1 to 50, 8 and 80. Change it to 40 pixels. It's still it's too much. Let me put 1 pixel, it's okay. All right, let's continue. I'll continue with this, but I'm going to put this shape for, I'm going to set it for our header. I'm going to create another one for the M. So I'm going to create a satisfaction. There's something called satisfaction score. I'm going to create a satisfaction score as well. I'm going to create a satisfaction score, which I'll be showing you how to do that quickly. At least we should be able to get that done before we start some of the visuals. So here on the dashboards, like I mentioned during the last class, you put some icons and all of your different styling. So there's this satisfaction score, which I want to just touch on quickly. And then I hope we'll be able to get through some of the graphs. So now on this table, we have the feedback satisfaction code. Now, the table I want to actually get to is the general table. You know, we are really interested in this satisfaction. How satisfied, because that's the focus of our design, part of our dashboard. We want to know how satisfied our customer is on our airline. Our customers are how satisfied they are on our airline. So we want to calculate a satisfaction score. For now, the first thing we are going to do is we're going to convert this satisfied. If you check this column, you have satisfied and neutral or dissatisfied. We're going to convert it to numbers. And to do that, you can use your formula. You can use an if statement to do that. So we're going to do that quickly. So we're going to add we're going to add a new colon and write a formula, an if statement. We could call that colon percentage of good satisfaction percentage or something. Good satisfaction. So you're going to write an if statement. If, sorry. Now, this is the if statement. If logical test result true, else false. So how do you convert this colon, this satisfaction colon? We want to convert satisfied to 1 and then the other one to 0. That is, if the customer was satisfied, we want to convert it to 1. And then if the customer was not satisfied, sorry, I'll take care of this. I wanted to load this first, but because I was on that formula, that's why it's just loaded it. So we have the neutral or dissatisfied, and we have the satisfied. So we are going, how do you write your if statement? You're going to say if the name of your table. Now, the way you write your DAX formulas, if the table name is what? General. If general, now when you type general, you see that it's already bringing out all the column names on that general. So you say if general, that is the name of this column that is of interest to us, is satisfaction. If general satisfaction is equals to what? Satisfaction. Oh, it's equals to satisfied, right? Comma. This is the test, the logical test we are doing. If this is equals to satisfied, there should be a column bracket, comma. Let's make it 1. Else, that's the result of the false. Let's make it true. So this is our if statement. Let me change the if to capital IF. That is it. So when you click on this, you see that this new column is going to populate itself automatically. You can see that this satisfied is 1, and wherever you have your neutral or dissatisfied now, if you have your neutral or dissatisfied, you can see it's 0, right? So let me remove the filter to let me just clear the filter. All right, so here we have our satisfaction, good satisfaction percentage, right? Now, okay, we have our satisfaction code, rather. Let me just name it. It's not satisfaction percentage. This is our satisfaction code. Let me name it satisfaction code. I hope I don't have satisfaction code on another table. Satisfaction, what would I call it now? Level. Okay, code. I'll check if I have satisfaction code somewhere else so that I don't confuse my table. Okay, I have satisfaction code somewhere. Let me change it because they mean different things. So let me change it to what name can I give it now? Satisfaction, someone should give me a name. I'm out of names. Right, satisfaction. It's not satisfaction code, like, okay, and I have satisfaction legend as well on my table, right? So I don't want to use that same name. Close. All right, let me just do so I'll be able to know the difference between the two table. Okay, so we have this code depicting the satisfaction. Now, the next thing you want to calculate, you want to see what is the percentage of the people that are actually satisfied. In this whole record, we have the record 129487 because that's part of what we want to visualize on our dashboard. What is the percentage of the people that were actually satisfied on this trip? Or there are several trips because we have different we have different flight distances, but then what's the percentage of people, overall percentage of people that were satisfied and people that were not satisfied? So that's what we want to calculate now. And how do you calculate that? You're going to create you're going to create a measure to do that calculation. I told you the difference between a column. Now this column, you're doing individual, you're doing a unique column for this. Now we're going to create a measure under table tools. You go to new measure, and then here you're going to do your percentage of good satisfied, I mean people that were actually satisfied, right? You could just say good satisfaction, if there's any word like that. okay, equals, now, how do you calculate your percentage? How do you calculate the percentage of something? When you're doing your analysis, now is analysis, there are some mathematical concept that has to come into play, right? If you want to calculate a percentage, like you have 10 objects, you want to calculate what's the percentage of the objects that are out of the 10 objects, you have 4 objects that are bad and 6 that are good. So what is the percentage of the good objects? Can someone give me the formula? So that's the idea we're going to use to create this measure. Can someone give me that particular formula in the charts so that I can pick your brains too as well? Okay, rating, thank you. 6/10 times 100. All right. Okay. Now, you have to count them, right? You have to count the number of the good ones. So now I want to relate the formula to creating our measure. You're going to count the number of the good ones, right? And count the number of the overall score, divide them together and multiply it by 100. So that's what we're going to do. Somebody else was writing. Okay. Good satisfaction percentage. Now we're going to do a calculate. You're going to use a now when you're doing your DAX, we're already doing DAX queries. So DAX is just like if you're used to Excel formulas, it's similar. So it's just there are some key formulas. Like if you want to do some calculation, use your calculates. There are different formulas that you can use. There are so many formulas in DAX. So just like your Excel formulas, you have your count if, your different type of formulas. But here, because of what we want to do, we're going to use a calculate function, right? And this is how it does. Calculates the expression, comma, then the filter. That is, you see that it evaluates an expression in the context modified by the filter. So we're going to have an expression and a filter. So first of all, let's just put the function calculate. Now, the expression we want to use is the count. We are going to count. What are we counting? We want to count all the satisfied. We are talking about the good satisfaction now. We should first of all count all of the satisfaction. We are going to use the code right now, the satisfaction code, or someone gave me rating. Okay, maybe I'll change that later. All right. Comma. Then with the general, let me put my, want to calculate the general satisfaction, which is equals to 1, because if we are talking about the good satisfaction, right? And we want to count them and divide them, just like what who gave me that formula, just like what Bidemi and Toyib gave me. We're going to divide them by the overall satisfaction, general satisfaction. So you're going to do another count. You do another count. You're going to count the overall satisfaction, and that's the general, from the general table. This is the column. We're going to count everything in that column now because we want to divide it, right? Close it, close the calculate, then multiply it by 100. So that is our measure. Do we understand? So we are doing a calculation. That's why we're using this calculate. So this calculated function is here. I remember that it's all of everything that we are calculating, that that's what we are multiplying by 100. But we have to count all of them and counts it, because this is the table. If when you were doing your calculate function, what was the int gave you, calculate the expression, then the filter. There's a filter, right, that you're using for your expression. Okay, so you have this, that's the ones that equals to 1 divided by the overall satisfaction score. That gives you the good satisfaction. We're going to do another measure for the bad satisfaction, and that's where we're going to use when the satisfaction score is equals to 0. So let's create a new measure. I'm going to create a new measure. Percentage equals, so let me just paste it and then do this. So this equals to 0. That's all we are changing, and that gives us the. Now we want to calculate, now we are going to calculate our overall score, the performance overall. Now we've calculated the percentage of the good and then the percentage of the bad. So now we want to calculate the overall score. That is, what is the difference between the good and the bad. That will give us the idea of how well our the performance or the satisfaction score, the overall satisfaction score of our clients are. So we're going to do like an overall satisfaction score, another measure. Let me just use that satisfaction. So we have this. All right, I think we can now start building our graphs, our visuals rather, and go back to our report view. Yeah. Now let us come here. Let's go to visualization. Now, like I mentioned, there are several ways to show your visuals. The first thing I want to show, I want to do a card, a slicer rather, where I can put all those. There are some things that are on my. I can use on my I can use for my slicers, like the age, the age, the arrival, the time. Sherry, I want to plug my laptop. The age, you can do the age, you can do the class, the type of class that your clients belong to, right? You can do the gender, all of that can be on your slicers. So, or you can use different slicers for it. So if for your visuals, you click on the visuals. Now this is the slicer I want to do now. Use, I can do age, select age, and then it's giving me age range, right? This is even too large for my age. I can use something else for the age. Okay, it's giving me age range. Let's leave that for now. I can change it if I don't want the range, the age in this format. I'll just click on the visual slicer settings. I can change it from between to drop down. Drop down will be too large. I can change it to less than or equals to if I want, or any other slicer I want to use, right? But let me leave it at between for now. So, but then I can also put my other slicers, like I can put the gender. I can put the gender. All right, let me just paste the same slicer. And my gender is I'll deselect the age and select the gender. My gender, male or female. I can change it to a tile setting. right? I can have my gender, male or female, and tile setting, so that I can do, now now your designs come into play. The way you want the way you want your visualization to look like. Okay, we have the male or female, then we can put some other ones like we can have the customer type as well. I'm removing the age. We have the loyal and the disloyal customers, depending on what you want. If you want a checkbox or a tile, depending on how you want your design to look like. So I'm going to use a tile. I want something like the age, so I'm going to do something like this. Okay, so I would also do let me do one more. Let me do the apart from the customer type, we have another category that can be represented. The we have the gender, we've used the gender, we've used the satisfaction, type of travel, yeah, try type of travel. So I'm going to do type of travel as well. So let me remove the age from here. Okay, so I will have some space for type of travel. Okay, so we have the type of travel. So I'm going to change it to, where's the type of travel? Here. We have the business, whether it's a business trip or it's the personal trip. Okay. All right. So moving forward, we have different, so you can also choose it, make use of okay, for this, rather than just the tiles, I can change the formats depending on how I want my dashboard to look like. I can change the format. By next class, our time is fast, then next class would finalize and finish up this dashboard, then we'll to push it to we'll publish it to the Power BI service as well. So I'm going to take you through how to do that. You can do a vertical list instead. That might work better. That might look more professional instead of the tile, depending on how you want your dashboard to look like. Right? This could be a person, I mean a tile as well, a vertical list as well, depending on how you want your dashboard to look like. Okay. Okay, now we can also do other visuals too, like we can do the clustered bar charts. The clustered bar charts would give you the overall. Let me click on the clustered bar charts. For satisfaction, you want to see your satisfaction, the rate of this, the level of satisfaction. You could do your clustered bar chart, and then you can move the satisfaction, the count of satisfaction to your y-axis, right? So that you can see the number of your satisfaction. You want to see how many people were satisfied and how many people were not satisfied. Let me clear my filter. And we're going to work on all of those other, the most important thing is what we are showing, right? So you can see that you have 56,000 plus people that were satisfied, and people that were dissatisfied were 73,000 plus. So the satisfaction net promoter score here, or the satisfaction score in this place, is negative, because we have more people dissatisfied than the people satisfied. So I'm going to put one more before we close. Let me put the satisfaction score that we calculated. So let us see what it looks like. This time around, we're going to use a gauge. We can use a gauge for it so that we'll see what it looks like. This is a gauge. I'm going to use the satisfaction score. This is it. This is overall satisfaction. You can see it's -10, -13. That was the overall satisfaction score. So people are not really satisfied with, if you start drilling, you see the the females had like, out, out of all the females on that airline, right, we had 37,000 persons that were dissatisfied. And then the people that were satisfied were 28 people, thousand plus. And the overall the overall satisfaction score was negative because the people were not really. So let's check for the male. You see that the male's satisfaction score is lesser than the female. So what that when you get into your interpretation, then you can even use filter based on the age range as well. You want to see people within different age groups. Is it going to affect your score? You see that people between the age of which age now is this? 40 and 85. They had more satisfaction. Now you see the satisfaction score is already increasing. It's already becoming positive. People that are within 840. So then you now can now start drilling based on whether the loyal customers are when we get into interpretation, right, we'll start seeing the relationship between what we are presenting and how to interpret our results. Okay, so we're going to pause at this point because of our time, and we'll be continuing during the next class. But I want you to begin to try your hands on, start looking at data sets that you want to work on, and so that you can try your hands on projects like this, start building your own projects too. So we'll be publishing this on, when we are done with this this whole dashboard, I'll put it on the LMS for you to also follow through, right? So that you have like an understanding or template guide on how to develop one. Okay, do we have any questions before we close? Do you have any questions? All right. If we don't have any questions, thank you all so much for joining. It was a nice, time together. I hope you were able to learn some things. We'll see you in the next class. Do have a wonderful evening or morning. Bye for now.